All right, so now that we have Firebase set up, we created our initial database with some data. We're going to start on our React application. So what I have here is just VS Code with an empty folder called React_FB_client panel. So FB is Firebase, and you can call it whatever you want. I'm just calling it this for my GitHub because I already have a client panel in GitHub, which is my Angular app. So you can call it whatever you want and just open it up in VS Code, and then I have my integrated terminal open as well. Okay, and of course you don't need to use VS Code. You can use whatever you'd like, whatever terminal you'd like. So from here, what I'm going to do is generate a new React application, and I'm going to do this with create React app with the CLI. If you don't have that installed, you want to do sudo if you're on a Mac or Linux, npm install -g for global, and then create React app. Okay, if you don't have it installed, I already do, so I'm not going to run that. And then what you want to do is just run create React app, and since I'm already in the folder I want to build this in, I'm just going to put a dot, and that's going to generate it in this folder for me. Okay, so now that that's all set, I'm just going to clear this up. And before I run the server, I just want to install one more thing for now, and that's the React router. So I'm going to npm install react-router-dom. Okay, that'll install the version 4 router. And then once that's done, we'll go ahead and we'll run npm start. Okay, and that's going to start up the dev server, and it should look like this. So I want to just get rid of like some of the boilerplate stuff. So let's go back to VS Code. I'm just going to make this a little smaller, and let's go into source, and I'm going to delete the index.css. So we'll go ahead and delete that file. Let's also delete the logo.svg, and then go into index.js and get rid of the reference to index.css. Right now your application will break, but that's okay. It'll fix in a second. So we'll save that. Let's go into app.js and get rid of the reference to the logo file. And we also want to go in the main div inside the render and just get rid of everything inside that div. I'm just going to put an h1 with hello and save. Okay, and then the app.css file, I'm going to keep that file, but I want to get rid of everything in it. I don't want that styling. So I'm going to get rid of it and save it and close it up. And then if we go back to our application, it should simply look like this, just hello. Okay, so now I want to implement Bootstrap. So I'm going to go to getbootstrap.com. If we go to get started, we want to grab the CSS link right here. So we can go ahead and I can actually copy it like that, and put that inside of our index.html inside the public folder. Okay, so this is the main entry point to our application, and there's a ton of comments in here that I'm just going to get rid of. I'm also going to change the title here to just client panel, and let's paste in that Bootstrap link right here. I'll just put a comment saying that this is for Bootstrap, and then I'm also going to add font awesome. So font awesome will go here, and we also want the Bootstrap JavaScript to go down here. All right, the JavaScript dependencies. So let's grab the JavaScript dependencies right here, and we don't actually need these. I mean, I'm not using like drop downs or slideshows or anything like that, but just in case you wanted to add something later, I'm just going to add those. And then let's go get the font awesome stuff as well. So if we go to font, fontawesome.com, and we go to how to use, we just want to grab this link right here. Okay, so we'll copy that, go back and paste it right here. All right, so if we go ahead and save this file, we shouldn't have to come back to it. We'll close it up. If we look at our application, now you can see that Bootstrap has been enabled because of the font and the margin, so that's good. Now that we've done that, let's create some folders and files inside of our source. So we want a components folder. Okay, so this is where all of our components will go, and we're going to kind of categorize components into folders as well. So let's create a folder called layout inside components. This will be where like our navbar goes, our sidebar, our dashboard, things like that. And then I'm also going to create a folder called clients. Anything that has to do with our clients in Firebase, so the add client component, the clients component, client details, that'll all go in here. And then we also want a folder called auth, which will have our register and login. And then we also want a folder called settings, which will have our settings component. Okay, so those are basically like the categories of components for this app. So I'm going to create a couple components now inside the layout. I'm going to create a file called AppNavbar.js. I'm going to create a file called dashboard.js, and these should all start with a capital. They should all be camel case or Pascal case, whatever. Let's create a file called sidebar.js. And for now, in the clients folder, I'm just going to create the clients.js. Okay, because basically the dashboard is a container for the clients component, which will be on one side, and then the sidebar, which will be on one side. Okay, so that's why I'm creating that. And the AppNavbar will be on every page. So let's start with the navbar. So I'm going to just create a class-based component here. And if you're not using VS Code with that extension, the React extension, just go ahead and type this stuff in, and we're gonna export it down here. Okay. Now, as far as the content that goes in the render, it's just going to be a basic navbar for now. Later on, we will have state with this component. That's why I'm using a class, because we'll have links that'll have to be hidden based on the authentication state. But for now, let's just create a regular bootstrap navbar. So we're going to say return, and let's put in here a nav tag, and I'm going to give it a class, or class name I should say in React, of navbar dash expand dash MD, so it'll expand on medium screens. And then let's say navbar dark, so that the text is light, and the BG I want to be the blue, so I'm going to say BG primary. And then let's do an MB-4 class, which is a margin bottom 4. And then inside here, I want a container class. And then we want the branding, but we want this to be in a link. Now, we're not going to be using A tags for links. We're going to use the actual link tag from the React router. So we need to import that. So we want to import link from the React router DOM, and then we can put in here link, use the to attribute, and inside to, we're just going to have it go to slash. Okay, and we're going to also give this a class name of navbar brand. Okay, just bootstrap classes. And in here, we just want to say client, we'll say client panel like that. Okay, now this is going to be a responsive navbar, so we want to put in a button, and I'm going to give it a class of navbar-toggler, which is needed. And it's going to actually have a bunch of attributes. So I'll put this on a separate line, and let's go, actually we'll just go to the end here. And let's also put in a type. So the type is going to be button. And then let's do a data-toggle, which is going to be collapse. And then let's do a data target. So the ID we want to target, we're going to put in pound navbar main, like that. Okay, and then inside the button, we just want that hamburger icon. So we're going to put a span with the class of navbar, navbar toggler dash icon, like that. Okay, and then under the button, we're going to have a div with the class name of collapse. We also want a class of navbar dash collapse, and we want an ID of navbar main. Okay, navbar main should match this. The target should match this ID. And then inside the div, we'll have our UL. So we'll do a UL with the class of navbar-nav, and this will also have a class of MR auto, margin right auto, because I want to align it to the left, these links. And this is just going to be a link to the dashboard. So let's do link to equals slash, and whoops, this needs to be inside of an LI. Sorry about that. It's just I'll just cut that out and go to an LI with the class of nav-item, and then in here we'll put our link, and this should also have a class of nav-link. All right, and then this will just say dashboard. So that should be it for now. We will have other links later on once we get authentication settled, but this should be good for now. So let's save it, and let's go to our, actually we're not going to see it yet because we haven't added it to app.js. So let's go to app.js and let's bring it in. So if we say import AppNavbar from, and it's going to be in the components folder, it's going to be in layout, and it's going to be AppNavbar. And then we'll put this right above hello. So right here we'll put in our AppNavbar component. All right, now once I save this and we go back, we're going to see an error. So we see this error because we're using link, which is part of React Router or React Router DOM, but we haven't actually implemented router yet. So that's why we're getting this error. So let's just bring in the router to app.js. Okay, and we've learned this before. So let's import browser router from, or I'm sorry, as router. We also want to bring in route. We also want to bring in switch. And this is going to be from React Router DOM. And then we just want to surround this entire div right here. We want to surround it with router like this. That should be an angle bracket. And down here, we'll say router. All right, so if I save that and we go back, now it works. All right, so this, I don't want this way over here. I want this also within a container. So in our app.js, let's go right under the app navbar and let's put in a class of container. And I mean, even though this h1 is not going to stay here, everything else is going to go in this container. So all the links, or all the routes, I should say, not the links. And there we go. So now it's pushed over. So I think that this is a good place to stop. We've set up React, we got rid of the stuff from the boilerplate, and we created our app navbar component. We implemented the router. So we got quite a bit done in this video. So in the next one, I want to start to implement routes. We'll implement our dashboard, and we'll put that inside of the home route, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I will see you in the next video.